All right, so we're getting into our conversation, the other conversation this Friday. Being a Friday, it's not just about entertainment, but also conversations that matter to you. Now, we're going to be having a conversation with regards to poetry and how we can use it as a therapeutic tool for not just you, but even your family members, whatever it is that you're going through. We always have this conversation that life is hard. It's no longer as easy, and when you're children, you always believe that, hey, my parents are providing, so there's no hassle. But when you grow, you actually realize that it's tougher than you thought. And so at times, over and above just having mentors around you to keep you in check, over and above making sure that you look into yourself to just be sober, poetry also does a huge role to play, just to ensure that that therapy is sorted out for you and I. So Romeo will be telling us who we have in studios to have this amazing conversation.
We have Mrs. Phiona Bahungirehe. She is a poet, a teacher right there, proofreader, translator, and author, and a mentor too, right there. And she joins us right now in studio. We are going to have this banter on her new book, which is called My Village, The Heart of a Village Girl. Trust me, my people, I've read the contents of this book. At least 40 of the poems, and I was nearly about to break down in tears. Why? She'll explain in a bit. Welcome to Morning at NTV.
Morning.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
A collection. I'm Bahungirehe.
Phiona from Kasese.
From Kisoro.
Kisoro.
Yes.
Well, I'll just sample some of your poem right here. Some of your poems.
Yes.
Or at least one. That is on page 21. Please, lend me your ears. Crucified crucifier. This particular evening, he came home late. I don't even remember what late means. It was visible that this time it wasn't a woman. I know my man very well. I have come to learn to accept the cap of totality in loyalty. One evening he told me, in quotes, "Darling, I have already had a bit at Claire's." I smiled and stealthily got swallowed up in the blankets. My arms on his chest, I found my way to deep sleep. But this is not my man today. Anger covers his whole being. He has nothing to say to me. The loin in him has been awakened, so I must awaken the ewe in me. He doesn't even take a look at the food on the table, yet it is just yesterday that he received his salary. I very well know that he had even been given a promotion, but the bitterness that engrossed him is beyond Lucifer's description. He heads straight in the bathroom. I had him pour on himself basins of cold water like an overheated lion. In a twinkle of an eye, I had deliciously made the bed, and there I was, yummy like a KFC, waiting for a hungry compasser. Even an overfed dog could tell I was appetizing. I was as a woman could be. I knew that night was going to earn me a point. I had learned the art of consoling a man. He tossed me away like a feather. He didn't cover himself. He fell in deep sleep. What kind of spirit had taken away my man? I seduced him this morning, but he remained like an immovable log. I nursed my disappointment with calm. I watched him dress up at first dramatically, then more seriously, then got a red suit on. I wasn't aware he had one, and a white shirt inside with a blue necktie and a red ribbon on his forehead. My husband has been bewitched. I moaned inwardly. A badge of bitter silver choked me. I felt so heavy. The feeling I had last got the night before, I was deflowered. I felt as intact as a virgin down there. My mouth wide open, I watched his every move. He ate breakfast and last night's food at my watch. I was confirming my suspicions. He gently held my hand and I saw him off the gate. He didn't take a car or a briefcase. He held me tightly and gave me a deep kiss. Butterflies zoomed right from the lips of my hair and went flooding down my butt. I have been raped, he romantically whispered in my ear. He made sure he sat on the hind seat in a Kampala road-bound taxi. With him was a dirty young woman holding a child and a muscular man. For a moment, he was quiet, but when the taxi set off, he began shouting like a lunatic. He read from a page of the red paper in his hands. Today is the devil's feast. Come witness the devil being crucified. We are virgins no more. They raped and tore our hymen before age, and now they want to cut our clitoris. Ouch! What a painful intercourse. Crucify, crucify him. Toji Kwata Ko. Then he slipped off and vanished in thin air. Within no minute, the whole city was painted red. Chants of Toji Kwatako rhythmically permeated the air. Indeed, the devil must be hanged today. He must die, and all his agents burnt in the everlasting fire. Wow. This poem. So we are moving from the husband coming into the house, and then later on he's...
Yeah.
And then you realize, well, I'm seeing some symbolism in here. Something to do with the age limit removal.
Yes.
Tell us how you managed to get this symbolism to relate to that.
Now, I relate this to family and normal family life. Look at a woman who knows the husband, a submissive woman, not these women of today who shout and beat each other every day, but a normal family set up. Women are trained to be submissive. Even when your husband is from cheating, there's a way you forgive him and you keep the peace at home. But now this husband has been raped. You know, I began by saying, help, my husband has been raped. So we have been raped. It's something unusual. And this is so painful that he cannot handle. Even when the therapy at home, even the consolation at home would not help. But what hurts more is that when he goes back to crucify the devil, he ends up being crucified. And when he comes back, at the end of the poem, you see he comes back putting on other clothes. He went in red, now he comes in yellow. He comes with, I call it a borrowed virginity, something like that. He comes with some love that is not real love. He's pretending, meaning that he's been given something to pretend. So basically it is symbolizing our Uganda. Our MPs, I can say, we look at them as our husbands. Uganda is mature for now. We are 50 and so years old. So we are mature women. And these our husbands, we know them. But they're not playing the role that they really should play. You find some pretense somewhere. You find somebody is talking, not their heart, but because of some influence somewhere.
And you know, it's interesting that now this is a fresh book out of course, you thinking about the status of where the country is actually at. And now the reality is tougher, that we're counting down to the 2021 general elections. What would you hope for the public to get out of this book in light of that reality? That, you know, even the CSO's report just the other day said that, hey, if we're not careful, if the different institutions don't do what is meant to be done, then there will be post-violence, of course, post-election violence, so to speak. And of course, it was a wake-up call for not just government, but the different bodies to make sure that the young people, the security, you know, operators are actually in line with that reality. And we do as much as possible to avert that. So out of this book, what do you hope that we take home to avert that possibility if we're not ready?
Yeah, sure. I'm not really so political, I can say. I really try so much to avoid politics, but I want people to come to reality. This is a nation we've worked for. We worked for our independence, we've worked for our freedom. Uganda is a good country and we are enjoying every bit, and we are not yet to lose it in a second. So I want people to wake up and do what we're supposed to do.
So another plot in your poem that I did notice was commercialization of politics. Your husband comes back home and he's sure he has been raped. The constitution has been raped. But as he leaves the house, goes and, you know, engages the devil himself, he comes back wearing yellow and not red. So were you alluding to the commercialization of politics that we are dealing with in this day and age?
I was, actually politics is now commercial, that's what I can say. If I've tried job A, job B, and it is not working out, I go to politics. I have another poem there. It is entitled Parliament Business.
Parliament Business. We are going to get into that. Yes.
So,
go ahead.
People are looking at politics as it is no longer service. It is business. I've seen it. I've touched it. If you don't give, in my village in Kisoro, if you don't give me a sacket of walaj, I'll not vote for you.
True.
And I don't know if it's the same thing in Kampala, but a vote is bought. And if we buy a vote, then we shall not vote the right thing.
But let me ask you, do you think there'll ever be a solution? Because at the end of the day, we cannot just blame the politicians. They're in it for the game. They're in it. Others are in it for the authentic reasons of making sure that we have a better tomorrow as a people. But at the end of the day, they're there because of us.
Yes.
We put them there. So you're saying that in Chisoro, a sachet of waraji will give someone a vote.
Malai, it is happening
yes,
right now.
yes.
You
So what can be
yes.
done to change the mindsets of the electorate? Just to tell him that, you know what, that sachet of waraji will not be there tomorrow when this person is in office. That sachet of waraji will not give you a job tomorrow. It's the quality of the leader that you put in there.
True.
So what can be done to change the mindsets of the electorate?
Actually, we need a real cleansing of the mind.
Right.
Because I always tell people that if I was the same, if I by chance won a seat in parliament, I wouldn't act differently. Because the people's mindset is the same. We don't expect a lot, but people need to change. People need to learn. People need to know that these people are serving us. Like, they are there to serve us. They are there to work for the nation, to build the nation, not building the nation the other way.
True. But when it comes to commercialization of politics, Mala, we've seen this too many times. If a politician is going to invest lots of money in that campaign, the first thing they will do in the first 2 years of their term is to get that money back. So don't expect service delivery. Expect them to be getting that money back that they spent on the electorate. So I believe there is need, yes, to sensitize the electorate in that regard.
Something? Yes. Should you invest in politics? Should you invest in politics?
They are already doing that, yes.
Can't we really have some time of campaign, right? You put out your manifesto, we see the good in you, and we vote you.
That should ideally be the reason why. That should be the ideal thing to do. But right now, we are seeing the other way around. Many people are looking at politics as a plan B. And that is your next poem right there. Parliament business. I'll just hint a bit right here, Mala, if you will allow me. Now, down Chikubo, the me in me, down Chikubo, the me in me, went powered with dust, sweating soil and swallowing tear gas, sweating blood. The taxi that blow a murderer's horn through my heated ears, waving insanity in my skull, and awakened the wanting spirits to demonstrate naked weaving scratches of invisibility in my wide open eyes, reddening my uncommon but that battered away my curiosity to enter the city. I went far and by, knocked at office doors, I banged home gates, I sang a song, I wrote a book, I vended a newspaper, I hawked medicine made in China. They called me manager, they called me house girl, they called me fella, they called me boss, they called me loss. I weighed and gained weight. I counted money, I counted stones. I know a dollar, I know a molar. I begged, I gave, and I begged again. The pauper, the landlord, wow, the language I spoke, the language I knew. Survival is not for the faint-hearted. For far in Dubai, near in Congo, all Africa, all Middle East, all America, have my hands toiled. I suffer the fate of the schooled. I unschooled old me, but classrooms pulled my hand and I dragged my legs. I won't die on the road. So that my mother will not grieve for digging a grave of a body she did not sicken on a hospital bed, like woman immaculate do. But I will not succumb to planting coffee or majani. I already saw the poison when Chiboga that overhauled a great trek in us and swept us to Kagadi. And the lorry that carried the majani landed me into the city. Let me go to Bufumbira. Travelers seldom lose track in broad daylight. I'll ask my bolo to show me the route to the commissioner who will give me papers to declare me votable for a parliamentary business because I went to school. Tell us what symbolism lies in this poem.
Oh yes, we have seen it all. When you come out of school, it promises us a lot. You think you're going to be manager, you're going to be CEO. Actually, when I was going to university, my parents are teachers. Unfortunately, they are all dead.
Sorry.
I buried my dad a week ago. That is so sad.
Sorry.
So they promised me that I go to school, I go and study education, and I become a teacher. My mother said that I'll go on a government payroll and I'll get a pension. You know, those hopes were very high. Everybody comes out when their hopes are very, very high. I think you've seen people come here to ask for jobs, and their hopes are really, really up in the skies. So you do everything. You do what the educated do. You go to office, the money is not coming. You try business. You try, you say, announce that business is not working, I can do any work. You know, begin sweeping the road. That doesn't come up. You go to China, you've seen people go to Dubai, you've seen people go everywhere. In my village, people go to Kagadi. They go to those Chiwoga, Kagadi, to work, casual laborers, so that they can do something, but something is not coming. At the end of it all, I went to school, so why don't I try parliament business? Actually.
Is that symbolism to allude to the fact that most people who have failed at anything in life will revert to politics as a last solution?
Exactly.
Wow. Doesn't that spell doom for our democracy if it's been so commercialized like this?
Yeah, and that is
people looking at it like
that is what is killing us. Because I've tried everything and it has not worked out. I try to convince voters and they vote me. So that's when I begin now compensating, the other compensation we are talking about. Instead of serving the proper way, I'll now begin looking at the investment I made, the years I wasted.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, this book, guys, you need to grab it. She'll be telling us where we can get these books from. And of course, you know, it points out to another reality that we need to make sure that our systems do work. What happens to the graduates that are churned out every single year into the job market? A job market that cannot assimilate all of them. And of course, like you're saying, this person hustles. And then because politics is easy to actually get in, it becomes an option.
And you know, one funny thing with politics, I've seen it. If I don't succeed, or if I become opposition, then there's somebody who will now support me, because you go in the limelight and someone knows you, so they'll give you a job somewhere. They don't want you to be a pain in the neck, so they'll fix you somewhere. So if I wanted to cause havoc in my district, possibly I would go and be FDC, people power, and then
gain that clout. Tell us where we can get this book and at how much, and all the other books that you've written. My goodness, you have quite a number.
Oh, this book is sold at 30,000 Uganda shillings. You can get a copy from me. Maybe I can give out my number.
All right.
Can I give it right now?
Yeah, you can just spell it
Please
out.
do.
0776 857304. Or you can find my sister at Uganda House.
All right.
At Night Hill offices, ground floor,
All right.
the first door.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where you can get a book. So far, I haven't distributed to any bookshops, but this book is recommended for book buyers, bookshops, and schools.
Okay.
A lot of poetic techniques, good for poetry, and more so, you know, local language is coming up on syllabus.
Okay.
So I have a number of Rufumbila poems in there.
I saw them right here.
Yeah, and
Phiona Bahungirehe is
interesting.
she's a teacher, mentor, editor, proofreader, translator, poet, and author. Mala, are we running out of time? I have this last poem that I'm itching to tell the people right there.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Maybe you can just give us the title so they look out for it. Just the title.
Just the paragraph right here. The suicide note.
A title, Romeo.
A title. To whom, actually, the title is The Suicide Note, to whom it may concern.
That's it.
To whom it may concern right here. So someone wrote a suicide note before killing themselves.
Of course.
I wanted to have to tell us where she came with that, but I guess we're running out of time.
Right.
Get yourself this book at only 30,000 shillings. Phiona Bahungirehe, very prolific writer in this regard. Yes.
So,
Thank you so much, Phiona. Last remarks, 1 second. For you to
As
give
you're
your
holding
last
some of the
remarks.
books
Yes,
right
as
now.
you're holding your books.
One more second. I've written several formula books for readers, P3, they're on the curriculum, and
Okay.
they're already in schools.
All right.
And we keep writing.
Okay.
Poetry is life, writing is life.
Right.
So as life goes on, we keep writing.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank all the viewers and all the people who have supported me. Please let us support our own.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you so
Phiona
much, Fiona,
Bahungirehe
for
right
that, and we
there.
wish you all the best. We have to wrap up the show.
We have to.
Time does fly, and of course, we'll be leaving you with some amazing music of Baby Cool. But I hear, yes, but I hear that you also do have comments that you have to sample before we
Right.
say goodbye. So I think Romeo, you ought to move to the other side of the
Let's
studio
take this very short bumper and
after
then
the short
we'll be right
bumper.
back. Yes.
Right.